Cop calls black woman a menace at cafe, then finds out she's there to arrest his own commander. The cafe door slammed shut, and every head turned as Officer Daniels stormed in, his face red with rage. "You're a menace," he barked, jabbing a finger at Nia Carter, a black woman standing calmly by the counter, her coffee untouched. The air thickened with tension, the hum of conversation dying as patrons stared, some clutching their phones, others shrinking back. Nia's eyes, sharp and unyielding, met his without flinching, but her heart pounded. She knew this moment could unravel everything. Daniels had spotted her from the street, her presence in this quiet, mostly white neighborhood cafe sparking his suspicion. To him, she didn't belong. Her dark skin, her confident posture, the way she scanned the room, it screamed trouble in his mind. "What are you doing here?" he demanded, his voice loud enough to rattle the mugs on the shelves. "You think you can just waltz in and cause a scene?" The accusation stung, but Nia didn't waver. She adjusted her jacket, her badge hidden beneath, and let him dig his own grave. The cafe was a microcosm of the city's divides, wealthy regulars sipping lattes, oblivious to the undercurrents of bias that simmered just beneath the surface. Nia had come here not for coffee, but for justice. She was an internal affairs detective, tasked with a case that could shake the police department to its core. Her target, Commander Richard Holt, Daniels' boss, a man revered by his officers but suspected of corruption so deep it had cost lives. She'd tracked him here, to this cafe, where he was meeting someone in secret. But Daniels' outburst was an unexpected complication. "You need to leave, now," Daniels pressed, stepping closer, his hand hovering near his holster. The crowd gasped, a woman clutching her child's arm. Nia's jaw tightened, but she kept her voice low, steady. "Officer, you're making a mistake." Her words were a warning, not a plea, but Daniels scoffed, mistaking her composure for defiance. "Don't tell me how to do my job," he snapped. "I know your type." The words hit like a slap, and the cafe fell deathly silent. Nia's mind raced years of facing down prejudice, of proving herself in a system stacked against her, boiled up in that moment. She could feel the eyes on her, judging, assuming. But she wasn't here to prove anything to Daniels. She was here to end a cycle of corruption, to protect the community he swore to serve but so often failed. She glanced at the back booth, where Holt sat, oblivious, sipping his espresso, his briefcase open with papers spilling out. "You don't know me at all," Nia said, her voice cutting through the tension like a blade. She reached into her jacket, and Daniels flinched, his hand now on his gun. The crowd held its breath. Slowly, deliberately, she pulled out her badge, holding it high. "Detective Nia Carter, Internal Affairs." The words landed like a thunderclap. Daniels' face drained of color, his bravado crumbling. Murmurs rippled through the cafe, phones now recording every second. Nia didn't stop there. She turned, her gaze locking on Holt, who had finally looked up, his eyes narrowing. "Commander Holt," she called, her voice steady but laced with authority. "You're under arrest for bribery, evidence tampering, and abuse of power." The cafe erupted in gasps, chairs scraping as people leaned forward. Holt's face twisted in shock, then defiance, but Nia was already moving, her cuffs gleaming under the lights. Daniels stood frozen, his world unraveling. The man he'd idolized, the commander who'd mentored him, was being led out in cuffs by the woman he'd just berated. Nia's eyes met his as she passed, not with triumph, but with a quiet resolve that cut deeper than any taunt. "Next time," she said softly, "check your assumptions." As Holt was escorted out, the cafe buzzed with whispers, but Nia felt no victory. She knew this was just one battle in a larger war against a system that too often judged her by her skin before her actions. She glanced at the wooden sign on the table, its bold words justice bruised and truth etched in her mind. For every Daniels, there were others who'd learn, who'd change. And for every Holt, there'd be someone like her, holding the line. The door closed behind her, the bell jingling softly. Outside, the city pulsed on, unaware of the small but seismic shift that had just occurred. Nia squared her shoulders, ready for the next fight, knowing that justice wasn't a destination but a journey one she'd walk, no matter the cost. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.